Hey everybody, it's Miss Enki with Boys and Girls Club. So normally I bring you lots of really cool and fun STEM activities, but today I wanted to be able to bring STEM and the arts together to make a really cool STEAM project that you might be able to do at your own home. So we're going to be making something called nature art today, which allows you to use some of the natural materials that you may have around your house or around outside of your house perhaps, and make a really cool and fun art piece. And so I'm going to show you what you're going to need and I'll walk you through the process. So what you're going to need today is some sort of a base, which could be paper or cardboard, cardstock, whatever you think might be best for holding up your picture. You're also going to need your natural materials, of course, and this can be a whole wide variety of things. It can be different blades of grass, it can be some soil, it can be seeds, perhaps some sort of like leaves or their stems. It could also be things that are not even seen in this video, which could be flowers, perhaps some sand, maybe even some rocks. Anything to give your picture some different texture and some different items to work with. And you're also going to need some scissors in case you need to cut all of your stuff into smaller bits and pieces. You may also want things like pencils or a toothpick to kind of help nudge pieces into place that might be a little more finicky. It may be easier to use those items than it is just your fingers. You're also going to want to use some sort of an adhesive, so something sticky that can combine all of your materials and put them onto your base, so that way they don't move and can actually stay like a long-lasting picture. So what you're going to do is think about what kind of picture you want to make. Maybe perhaps think about the different textures you want to use or the different items that you want to use, because that will help you keep in mind what kind of base you should use. As we can see here, paper is definitely very thin, and sometimes it can be hard to stick things to it. So what you might want to consider is either using, like I had mentioned earlier, some cardboard or cardstock to help you have a really strong base for your picture, and it'll make it very easy for your item, or much easier for your items to stick to it. Or if you wanted to use a bunch of like lighter materials, like, you know, your blades of grass, things that are very like light, then you might be able to stick them to paper easily. So that'll be up to you. But let me show you what kind of things you can make with this. So once you have your materials, you could go very literal and say, I want to make a plant out of plant parts or plant pieces. So what I chose to do was use some soil that I have here at my house. I also have been growing different plants at my house, as you may have seen from some other videos, and these came from one of my lettuce plants that is actually starting to decompose, so it will not be growing anymore. That's something you also want to make sure is very important. Please try to find things or items that might be on the ground outside or that might be falling off of plants, you know, things where you don't necessarily have to break down living items, just so that way you're respecting nature as much as you are wanting to use it. It's pretty important. So, in looking here, these were items that were definitely going to start decomposing from one of my other plants, so I thought I might be able to repurpose them or recycle them and use them for an art piece. So I used my lettuce stalk to be acting as a stem, and I used the remaining leaves that were coming off of my lettuce plant to make petals, for example. So this kind of looks a little bit like its own plant or flower. You can also go and make something completely not plant related and not as literal. Here I've made a picture of a person using a whole wide variety of materials that I found outside my house. I've used the weeds that need to be pulled out of my yard anyway to make the frame of a face. I have used these leaves that have already started to fall off of trees and decompose because I thought they made a really cool wave pattern and a really fun texture as they dried, which reminded me kind of hair. So I thought that might be good to use. I also have more spare soil, some more grass blades, as well as some seeds that are able to act as my eyebrows, eyes, nose, and things of that nature. And so I don't have these glued down for the purpose of this video because I still wanted to be able to move them around a bit, but you're going to want to find an adhesive that allows them to stick to your base. Also, once you get more advanced, you can look online and see a whole wide variety of items that you can make using different things like flowers, different types of leaves, sticks, and anything that has a little bit more color maybe. So I hope that you really like this activity and get a chance to make some really cool and fun STEAM pieces. Have a good one, everyone.